YouTube, welcome to another video. Today I am going to show you my monk build. I've been working on this for the past few days. I have been building my monks starting from the campaign up until late 16, 17 and 18 maps. I've been running citadels. I've been doing everything with my monk now, and I can easily say that this is my new main character that can clear 99% of the content in the game. I'm super happy with my Ice Strike monk. I've learned many things for the past few days. I've tried out different builds, I've tried out different skills, setups, but the one that I will be sharing with you in this video can do absolutely everything. Crazy. From breaches, from deliriums, why not both of them together like in this video? This monk is just crazy good and super strong, and it will take you not a lot to get it going. If you want to obviously achieve what I am achieving in this video with running smooth, fully ramped up maps, juiced up, and you can just one-top out all the mobs and elites and everything in there, you can follow my build. I also will have a link written guide for mobalytics for you. I spend a few minutes over there to sit down and replicate all my skills, to show you what to go for, to look at my passive so you have a build on the go. Now, this is not a end game build. This is work in progress. This character is just 3 to 4 days old. I've invested not a lot into it, so I'm still yet to optimize this build to its fullest potential. I'm pretty sure I can find myself double the DPS on a weapon. I can get better gear, become much stronger, have more survivability, more resistances. There's so much more to improve, and that's what I love about Path of Exile. But this is a starting point for me where I can say, all right, if you're looking for an Invoker Monk, if you're looking into creating one, and this is a build I would go for in my next league start. Since this is going to be a longer video, I am going to make sure that you have timestamps in the video so you can jump back and forth between skills, passives, gameplay, items, and just for your convenience. If you do enjoy this video and find it useful and would like to see more, make sure you like this video. And if you want to participate in a early access key giveaway that I'm going to be making in this video, make sure you also leave a comment and that you are subscribed. I will choose the winner of the early access key in one of my future couple videos. Talking about the skills that I'm using in this build, my variations of the skills with the support gems that I'm using, as well as the route that I've taken on the passive skill tree. I will be linking a mobalytics link below, which is going to be the written version of this guide that you can revisit anytime and watch the skill gems, my passives, and everything I went for. Now, disclaimer, again, I'm not sure if this is the best in slot, but this is what works for me. So this is what I actually use on a daily basis now. I have played around with the skill gems a little bit to see what works and what doesn't work. Like just a simple removal of heft over here, you can see that the damage goes by 13k more or less with it. So I did experiment with the skills a little bit, and let's talk about the more important ones. Okay, so the very first and most important skill of the build, ladies and gentlemen, is Ice Strike. Ice Strike is the first skill that you want to fully max out and use more support gems on it. So the moment you get sockets over here, make sure you apply them on Ice Strike first. And let's talk about why Ice Strike is such an important and cool ability on the monk. Well, first of all, it's great single target damage, and also it is its freezing ability is just crazy. The moment you tap something, a mob, if it's not within the first couple of attacks, the third one is probably going to be a guaranteed freeze. And combined with all the skills and with this ring, after you kill a frozen enemy, it's fireworks. It's just everything starts to pop up. So just Ice Strike by itself is a very, very cool ability, your main ability that you're going to be using. The cool thing about Ice Strike as well is it makes a dash between you and the mob. So if there's a mob within a certain range, if you click on the mob and it's within your Ice Strike range, you're going to dash to this mob, freeze it at the same time, and if you have enough DPS, you're going to be insta-popping huge waves of mobs with this setup. So what we have over here, let me walk you through the different support gems that I'm using over here on Ice Strike. So we have Ice Bite, which is, attack gain 35% of damage as cold damage for 3 seconds on freezing an enemy with supported skills. So after you have frozen it, you get the 35% as cold DPS for 3 seconds, which is just stacking up on top of everything. Martial Tempo for the attack speed, 25% attack speed. Primal Armament over here is supported skill deal 25% more weapon elemental damage. Now, in my case scenario, this is not the best gem for my very current weapon because I'm not elemental damage heavy on this weapon. However, this syncs very well with the elemental based weapon where you have elemental damage and increased elemental damage on your staffs. So if you do have one over there, use this gem. I still have it in there because I have so much damage right now, I don't bother anymore changing it. Concentrated effect, this makes it have less AoE, like less range of your AoE, but more condensed damage. So it's 40% more AoE damage, and halved by itself, it increases by 30% your maximum physical damage on this gem. Ice Strike itself, this is the bread and butter. You want to always prioritize leveling it up. Obviously, also make sure you get the quality on this gem, because having the quality on top gives you another 10% attack speed, which is great. Combined with Martial Tempo, that's a 35% attack speed increase on the skill. Let's talk about the other skills that are really important for this build. Charge Staff works very, very well, syncs very well with Combat Frenzy, which is this ability over here. Combat Frenzy with Profusion is granting you charges for your Charge Staff. So the moment you start killing mobs, you will start gaining charges. Usually is the first or second mob you see, you kill it, you already have a couple charges to activate your Charge Staff. And once you activate it, then you're basically, your attacks are shooting those beams in any direction you're attacking. So this makes your Ice Strike, or your ability in general, even your auto attack, going to be kind of a mid-ranged attack, so shooting from far away. And if you have enough damage on your Ice Strike, you can just hold on shift or stay in one place and shoot mobs from far away, and they'll still insta-pop. Charge Staff is a great ability. I love it. It makes this build shine. Now, what you have over here is just basically anything that amplifies the lightning damage and the cold damage that you have in your build. You can go and you can have like a triple Herald, triple Element build up with fire involved as well. But I think like lightning and cold is more than enough. I don't want to introduce another Herald, for example, in here to have the triple element stat. So I just went for lightning and for cold, and it's great. So here we have cold exposure that supported skill inflict cold exposure for 8 seconds, critical hit with cold damage, which is great. This syncs very well again with the Ice Strike. Here you have Lightning Explosion, which is 8 seconds, again, after shocking an enemy. Persistence is 40% more skill effect duration. That means that your charge stuff is just lasting longer. and 12% more elemental damage for each skill used recently of a different element type. So the real deal, in my opinion, the skills that are going to change, are going to transition you a little bit more towards late game from mid game, is once you start using the heralds. And once you have obviously enough spirit to maintain it, because 2 heralds is going to be 60 spirit for you. Then on top you want to have Wind Dancer, and then on top you want to have Ghost Dance, and then on top you want to have Combat Frenzy. So that's a decent amount of spirit. Overall, I'm at 200 spirit right now, but I also get the spirit from my ascension. So the way you get to the 200 spirit is by going through your ascension over here and getting Lead Me Through Grace. This is gain 1 spirit for every 6 energy shield on equipped body armor, and gain 1 spirit for every 15 evasion rating on equipped body armor. As high as possible energy shield on your headpiece, and as high as possible evasion rating on your body armor, right? So this basically gives you the spirit that you need. All right, so let's talk about the heralds. The heralds basically work together. They're synced up. If you code infuse and add glaciation to your Herald of Thunder, basically you make this, it has freeze buildup, but also it turns the lightning damage into cold damage, and vice versa, basically, because over here in lightning infusion you're going to do the exact same thing as cold infusion, and you're going to add innervate, and then you're going to add conduction for more chance to shock. So what is working here is you're basically telling the lightning ability to also do cold damage, and then the cold ability to do lightning damage. So they're instantly proccing each other all the time, which creates those explosions and lightning cold explosions you will see all over the place once you kill an enemy. And this syncs very well with this ring. This ring you can actually get at level 12, which I highly recommend. The moment you get this ring and you already have Ice Strike early on, campaign becomes very easy. After you introduce Tempest Bell in your into your build in your campaign, you're gonna be cruising through everything. So highly recommend it. This for the heralds. For all the support gems, again, on Herald of Thunder, we have Cold Infusion, Glaciation, Ambush, Long Shot. Herald of Ice, we have Magnifying Effect, Lightning Infusion, Innervate, and Conduction. Those sync pretty well. Honestly, I don't know if I want to add 2 more sockets over here, only because right now the 5th socket, the perfect gem cutter, is pretty expensive. And I would not invest into these right now because I'm very happy with its current stage, unless they introduce like T20 maps and we need to double the DPS somehow. Then maybe yes, but right now, honestly, 4 slots is more than enough in my opinion. I was doing almost the same damage when I was 3 slots only. So I very recently, actually today, added the 4 slots. So that's why I have them over here. Now let's talk about Wind Dancer. Wind Dancer basically provides evasion and more physical mitigation through together with Protect Me From Harm, which is this, your second ascension. This basically turns physical damage reduction from your armor is based on the combined armor and evasion rating, 30% less evasion rating. So with this ability, basically, you take your evasion, 40% less evasion from what you have total as a number, and it gives you a lot of armor, which is great. This makes you so much more tanky. So the moment you get to Protect Me From Harm is a passive ability, highly recommend you go for it. With Wind Dancer, this is going to sync up very well. Over here, you want pin. Every time you get procced or attacked and the Wind Dancer actually procs, there's a chance for you to pin them in one place, so the mobs are not going to chase you anymore. They're just going to stay there. You can also put blind in there in case this procs as well. You can mini CC the mobs if you will. And Culling Strike, not such a biggie, you know, just there as a buff. Now, here's an interesting thing, and I really recently learned that this was actually possible. You can actually have multiple bells on your monk build, and this is crazy. I very recently just maxed out the Tempest bell to a 5 slot, and now I also have a second bell, which is just great. Now you'll ask, why would you have? First of all, how do you do this? Well, it's actually very easy. You need to go to your options first. You need to go to game options, and you need to untick gem cutting restrictions, which will allow you to actually insert over here the exact same skill gem. Get it? You insert obviously you need to have the slot. If you don't have the slot for it, well then the option for you is to get either a ring, which, you know, it's a viable option if you want to get one of those rings, which will give you one skill slot. Unset ring, I think they're called. But the idea over here is, why would you actually go for 2 builds? And in here, obviously, we have different type of support gems in there. In the main bell, I have Soul Thief, which is leeches 5% of physical damage from supported skills mana for mana sustain. Then we have Overabundance, which is giving a +1 to the skill. Then we have Rage and Font of Rage, which is 2 rage generation. This is rage generation, and this is just generating rage when you hit. So these sync up pretty well. And then Font of Mana is for mana regen purposes. So this bell, I consider the main bell. And then the secondary bell is where I drop in Immolate to add in there some fire damage, leverage, have 50% increased critical hit chance against immobilized enemies. This works very well once you've frozen the boss or stunned the boss. And then you have Overcharge, which is a 75% increased magnitude of shocks inflicted by supported skills. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm yet to play around with more bell slots. Probably I will max out the second bell as well, so that I have a full 2-set bell. That's like 10 support skills on 2 bells. And you can have 2 bells at the same time, which was the surprising thing of this build. Ghost Dance basically provides sustain for you. Energy Shield, yeah, that's pretty much it. When hit, consume a Ghost Shroud to recover energy shield equal to 5% of your evasion. The more evasion you have, the more you're going to be regenerating your energy shield. Over here, I just added in some support. I just have extra spirit that I was trying to figure out where I can fit in. And over here, I have another 35 spirit for herbalism and for vitality. Those are just giving me an additional, survivability boost, recovery. Not 100% necessary. You can go with the Ghost Dance only with the fast forward support skill, and that's good. You don't need those 2. Those 2 are just for me having extra stuff on there. And one of the bread and butter skills that is really important, at least for your charge staff and in general for your entire build as well, is going to be Combat Frenzy. Combat Frenzy works and synchronizes very well with Profusion and with this passive skill over here, which is Resonance. Resonance basically gains you power charges instead of frenzy charges, and so on. So basically, you need this one and Profusion with Combat Frenzy on together in order to make this work smooth, without any issues. I do have support gems on my auto attack, but I very, very rarely use them. So this is just in case I run out of mana flask at the boss fight. I've run out of mana. There is literally nothing else for me to click other than my auto attack, and I'll still do like this little damage. It's insignificant. Don't even bother about my skill gems over here. This is just throw in whatever you have that you think fits in well. Let's talk about the avatar. The avatar is actually a very, very cool ability. Basically, it boosts 40% more elemental damage while you have the avatar on. It's for a very short period of time, but it does boost your damage significantly. So the way that avatar works, and this is again a ascendancy ability, which you gain after leveling up this part over here. So obviously, if you want to have all this leveled up the same way I do, you need to have 4 out of 4 ascendancies, and you will be able to get avatar and everything else. Now, in terms of order, how I would level up first, I would go for leveling up, you know, the survivability tree from in here, because this will change your campaign experience, early mapping experience by a ton. Lead me through grace so that you can actually get enough spirit so that you can actually use more heralds and more spirit based abilities, and then go for protect me from harm to increase you know, your armor, and yeah, just increase your survivability in general. And only after that you actually start working yourself towards you know, Iron Blizzard and the avatar. So this is the route that I would take and to level up this monk if I had to start over. All right, let's talk about weapons. Weapons is a important part, obviously. Now, for the weapons, there is 2 ways you can go for, you know, approaching the weapon situation. There is either physical damage, increased physical damage percentages, and based on that, you also want to have good physical damage rolls on the weapon, or you could go elemental damage, increase with elemental damage. Now, mine is a hybrid, which is not ideal, but for me, it does the job because it's a pretty decent roll with 224% increased physical damage. And then I have a 3 socket, another 60% on top of the increased physical damage. So without even having additional physical damage, I already have close to 300% increased physical damage. That's why this staff is so significant for me right now. It has a little bit of critical hit damage, but everything else in this staff is actually garbage. Now, let me actually show you, and I've kept these on purpose. While I was leveling, I kept all the items that I occasionally used, specifically the weapons, right? I started off very early with a +2 all to melee attack speed, increased physical damage. Then I obviously transitioned into a +3, 74% increased physical damage. Again, I always had this combination, as you can see, of physical and elemental damage, which is not ideal. You always want to have, like this one, for example, you have a physical increased percent, but you also want flat physical damage on top of this weapon. Then this works pretty well. Then this is actually a very, very decent weapon. This one has increased attack speed, +2 all levels, fire damage, physical damage, increased physical damage. So those are stats that you absolutely want to go for. However, this is a level 42 staff, and it is just a low level staff, and it's not doing the job for me because I have 4 times the DPS now. This was the staff that I was using until yesterday, because this morning I crafted the one that I'm just using right now. Here, as you can see, I already don't have +2 all levels. And honestly, if you ask me right now, this is not a very mandatory thing to have. The higher the skill level that you have, the more mana it will cost per attack. So the moment you level this up, so if you have +4 or +5 or +6 on your weapon, this over here is not going to cost 42 mana per attack. This is going to cost 70 mana per attack. So the mana significance difference is going to be significant. So +2 all levels is not always the best thing that you want. If you want, for example, to have better mana sustain with your abilities and so on. So this is, again, a very good staff that I crafted myself the other day. This was a very huge upgrade for me. If you can see, I went from a physical damage 110 to 190 to 380. This was a really huge upgrade for me. And you can see I also lost here the +3 level to melee. So the +3 is not always good. Obviously, if you have it on top, if you have attack speed, if you have the increases with the flat percentages, really good. However, not mandatory. Again, you always want to have the higher DPS weapon on yourself. That's why highly recommend look for the higher increases. Everything above 110%, whether it is physical or elemental increase, is going to be really good. This was me just showing you the staffs that I went through, every 20 levels, if you will. So that I can keep up with good DPS and be able to one-shot the bosses. Let me talk about a few honorable mentions early on in the game. These gloves, if you have these gloves, this is a significant boost in the beginning when you're doing the campaign, because this is going to be increasing your freeze buildup. So that means you freeze them very early in the game. So this is a recommended item. However, once you start moving down the road, you definitely try to get plus alt melee skills resistances. Now, one key takeaway that I can give you always is, if you're dying too much, check two things. One, are your resistance capped? That's rule number one. And two, what are you wearing? Are you wearing evasion armor? Do you have enough evasion on your chest piece? Do you have enough energy shield on your helm? And by the way, this one is a terrible one in terms of energy shield. However, if you look at my stats, I have 54% rarity. I have 29% lightning resist, and everything else is just a bonus for me. I went for the rarity on this helmet. I didn't went for energy shield. If I wanted higher energy shield, I would gone for either this or just in general, like anything higher. You can go above 200 easily. Think about your resistances first, and then think about everything else on top, like whether it is energy shield, HP. If you look at this, I'm actually pretty squishy. If something hits me and I'm not rolling, or if I'm not dashing to a different location, I might be pretty much be dead. Also, one other thing that I did experiment with, by the way, and this is already once you get to mapping, Act 6 is actually one of the places where you will encounter more chaos damage. And this will be mainly the reason why you would die in the campaign, if you die at all. But chaos damage is very easy preventable. I'm saying this only because I actually tried to build into chaos resistance, and I went to almost 50% chaos resistance, and I was surprised and blown away how my survivability against chaos just changed. With having only 50%, close to 50% chaos resistance, I was able to remove the one-shot scenario from mapping. So if I was doing an altar or ritual, right, and there is a chaos bubble under my feet, usually if I go in there right now, I'm getting one shot. If I'm not moving away from it, I'm getting one shot. With the 40 to 50% chaos resistance, you still have chance for survival. So if you are able to build on top of all the other resistances, chaos resistance, and a sweet spot would be 30 to 40%, then go for it. Absolutely. Highly recommend it. Okay, so let's talk about passives. I'm not going to go into much details. The Mobalytics guide, again, is for this, so that you can visit at any time and see all the passives, and even brainstorm over there and think how you can change your tree to fit this one. But basically said, this is a 4 out of 4 ascendancy. Let me start with the ascendancy very quickly. Like I mentioned before, I would go for lead me to grace. This is going to give you more spirit. More spirit equals more skills, more survivability, more damage. So because this build uses the heralds, and that's, like I mentioned before in the skill section, this is a lot of spirit required. That's why you would like to get this as soon as possible. Then I would go for protect me from harm. This is going to take 40% out of your evasion rating and transition and make it around 70%, I believe, armor you will get out of this, which is huge. Huge. I highly recommend it. Yeah. Survivability first. If you feel tough, you can go and start building into I Am Blizzard and then going into Avatar. Avatar is 40% damage boost once activated, so this is huge. This is a full 4 out of 4 ascendancies. If I want to sacrifice the armor part and this survivability couple of skills, I would actually go for critical hit chance, and I would go for Sunder My Enemies. This would boost my DPS significantly, but I would also like to stay alive more so that I don't die as much and lose experience. All right. Now, if we talk about the passive tree, I would categorize it in 3 important sections. One is that is boosting your attack in general. The second one is survivability, so everything energy shield based and evasion based will be in there. And then the third one would be utility, something that you need for your build to work. Now, we start off, this is how you would start. You go through this line through the campaign, you get some critical hit damage bonuses over here as much as you can. Now, where you see that I have intelligence, that might be strength for you, that might be dexterity for you in your case, if you have enough intelligence from your items. Remember though that these stat nodes are always dependent on the items that you're using and do you have enough and etc. So from here early on, I recommend getting also Essence of the Mountain. This early on in the campaign is going to give you 20% increased freeze. This is going to help you out. Over here, increased energy shield, recovery rate. This is once you actually have a helmet that gives you energy shield. Early on in the campaign, that might be not the case. All right, so from here, one of the important milestones would be getting resonance. This would be probably around level 30 or 40. Once you will be able to actually put in one of the first heralds and charge staffs. Otherwise, this doesn't make much sense. But charge staff, take resonance. From here, take to the left, get some critical hit chance. I am building more towards critical hit chance in general and critical hit damage. So for me, the nodes that have critical hit chance make a lot of sense. I try to pick them up, and that's how I go. Over there, I would go to the top, pick up the attack speed from here, which is always nice. In here, we have the attack damage and attack speed again. Here we do have a little bit of energy shield. Now, this node you take once you have a very high evasion chest piece. So when I say high evasion chest piece, try to go for 1,400 and above. Like everything above that will give you a decent amount of chunk of energy shield because of this passive. 1 maximum energy shield per 12 evasion rating on equipped body armor. Awesome. That's why you go for high evasion. This turns your evasion into energy shield, and then you pick up also a high energy shield helmet, and you roughly have a 50-50 HP to energy shield pool, which should be more than enough for you to survive. In terms of jewels, try to I need to replace this one. Look at this. Try to go for energy shield, evasion, damage, anything that is critical hits, damage, attack speed, anything that can boost you significantly, right? Over here, go for the power charges, more power charges, that's cool. Then you can get critical hit damage over here. Once you get to the quarterstaff section over here, level this up as well. Pretty awesome damage boosts. Over here, once you already have the Herald of Ice and Thunder rocking, I highly recommend picking up these nodes over here because this is going to increase the damage of the heralds very much, very significantly. So I highly recommend picking these up. Now, in my current passive tree, this section over here could be revisited because I think at some point I can sacrifice some survivability in order, for example, for me to go back and level up the Echoing Frost and Echoing Thunder. This section over here, I need exactly about 7 to 8 points, so I can sacrifice here and there a little bit of survivability and go back to get these juicy 30% damage increase. And again, here you have critical hit chances increases that I picked up. If you don't go for a critical hit chance build, you don't think about these, you can completely build this differently. Over here we have some melee range and melee damage, which is great. And these nodes over here obviously will just give you a decent chunk of dexterity. But why dexterity is important in this build is because of this one. Falcon Technique is 1% increased attack speed per 15 dexterity. So moving forward, one of the most important stats for myself or for yourself would be dexterity if you want to have more attack speed, which is awesome. Here I went just for another jewel slot. So that's the build for now. I will update if I find out that the other version is going to be massively better than what I'm using right now. I'm not saying this is the best, but this is how I build around. I've looked from different multiple sources, different builds. I tested around, and this is what I think works the best for me. Hopefully it will be the same case for you as well. Now, if you stick till the end of this video, I really appreciate you watching the entire build guide. Hopefully this is going to help you out build a strong monk that is going to help you enjoy Path of Exile 2. And if you watched so far, I really would appreciate if you like and subscribe and leave a comment. Don't forget about the giveaway. You might win a key for a friend. So yeah, good luck, and I'll see you in the next video.